Hopkins can't run anymore. There's not much impact he can make. And if these are the feelings of the 32 teams, somebody's going to lowball him and he's going to have to take it. Greetings and salutations and welcome to the Odd Coaches Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Keith Adams. And with me today, sitting in for my tag team partner, is my captain for life, Will Cotton. And Will, how are you this morning, sir? And thank you for joining us.
Feeling good.
Man, well, enjoy the hotel background because I am in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, watching Point Five develop as a football player. So on today's show, we're going to talk about the return of Tua, D-Hop chasing the hug, if you will. More on the decline of running backs and a breakdown of guys and players returning from injury. But let's get started. Will, the Miami Dolphins have reportedly implemented some jiu-jitsu training for their quarterback workouts in an effort to prevent Tua and the other signal callers from suffering concussions. During an appearance on SportsCenter, Jeremy Fowler talked about it. Tua is fully healthy. He's taken a lot of lead. He's taken on an increased leadership role, but it was interesting that they decided to practice jiu-jitsu so basically he can learn how to fall better. So, Will, what do you think about that? Because you were the one that texted me and said, "Are you watching this?" And I said, "No," when it happened. So, what are your thoughts, man? Jiu-jitsu.
I think it's good. I mean, if you're trying different ways to protect your players, I don't think at the end of the day it's not really going to work because you're not just worrying about falling. I mean, guys are going to really be swiping at your head. You have helmet to helmet stuff, fluke stuff that could even happen. I mean, but if he has a real problem of falling and has to work on that, I think that's great, to figure it out, try different ways and, we'll see how viable it is. But, if it works, they'll say everyone's going to do jiu-jitsu every now. So,
well, here's the thing that caught me, how to fall forward, how to protect his head in the pocket. And the Dolphins are actually implementing some of those jiu-jitsu workouts with their quarterbacks before practice so everybody can get used to falling down and protecting themselves. So as somebody who practiced wrestling bumps to take charges in his day of playing basketball, hey, we'll see what happens with that. So moving on, chasing a hug. DeAndre Hopkins isn't expected to be picky when looking for a new place now. At first, you heard him talking about the different types of quarterbacks he was looking at. But as Mike and I talked about last week, there ain't a lot of money left. So I don't care who you're looking for. Teams don't have a lot of money. A lot of people want to have him, but they just don't have the money to give him. And now we'll hear the things that are being talked about. Hopkins can't run anymore. There's not much impact he can make. And if these are the feelings of the 32 teams, somebody's going to lowball him and he's going to have to take it. So what do you think about DeAndre Hopkins looking for a home and any suggested places you'd like to see him?
It's unfortunate. I still think D-Hop, if you look at his stats, I mean, the guy's been very consistent the last 10 years or so playing, or even longer he's playing. I mean, not long, but however his career was going. It's business. Like you said, Coach, it's business. People want him. I'm sure he's wanted, but they don't want him for that price. So at the end of the day, they're going to say what they want to say what they want to say. And then some, no, like you said, some team will get him for great value. And that GM will be genius. How did he do this? How did he get all the pieces go together? I personally think he's going to go to Cleveland. I think Cleveland is a very, I think at one thing, man, they try. They're like, look, we have years of terrible football. Let's get players come in, get the fans get excited. You have people that you can point to, D-Hop, your boy Cooper, Deshaun Watson. We got
That's the ticket. That's the ticket. I want to play with Deshaun Watson if I'm D-Hop because I'm too old to break in a new quarterback at my age. And if I can go with somebody that I know that knows me, just to be comfortable. I'll take less for this 1 year because it's not like he's been working for free the last 10 years.
Yeah, right,
And
right.
then see what happens with that. But yeah, I'd like to see him in Cleveland myself just because of the connection with the quarterback. Now, whether Cleveland will do anything, that is for our preseason editions. But let's move on. Buffalo, a fifth-year player finally gets the bag, Will. A couple of weeks ago, fans, you'll know that Mike and I talked about how the fifth-year players from that previous draft and we're getting it done. So the Bills have agreed to terms with 2019 first round pick Ed Oliver. I actually remember him in college on a 4-year, $68 million extension, which includes $45 million guaranteed. The $45 million guaranteed is tied for eighth most among active interior defensive linemen. Here's the thing, though. Prior to this signing, the Bills didn't have a defensive tackle signed for this coming season or beyond. So as we're looking at this, Will, the Bills might not be that good because if they're having injury issues, and we'll talk about Damar Hamlin in a moment, but that's a safety they missed. They don't have any interior linemen. And in segment 3, we'll talk a little bit about Von Miller. Man, what are you thinking about the Bills as I will start preparing my season-long bet totals over the next 5 to 6 weeks?
They're just tinkering and tinkering and tinkering and tinkering. They're looking for the perfect sauce. And unfortunately, it's not so much about the sauce, but how you present it. They're doing too much. Too much. It's kind of funny because now they're going into the antiquated kind of thing. Like, well, look at Ed Oliver. You stuck with us for 4 to 5 years and you played well and every year you got better and look, the contract works. And that's the one thing I kind of noticed it, like you guys could have got rid of him or paid him if you wanted to earlier and then do something else right now instead of now kind of allocating money to him on the front end, on the back end. I'm sorry. I feel like they're just regressing. I think they've already hit their peak. I think they're kind of going back and eventually they can realize they can hit the reset earlier. It'll help moving forward, especially Josh Allen. I mean, and at the rate things are going, they're going to restructure him at some point. They're going to restructure him. Yep, they're going to restructure him to get the money, and that's going to be even more complicated. So they're going to have to figure it out sooner than later. So, but I think it's going downtrend in my opinion.
All right. So finally, in this segment, Damar Hamlin. 50 Buffalo area youth tackle football teams that have all come to receive AEDs, which were distributed by Damar Hamlin at the Bills' hands-on CPR event. I love the fact that he's taken this tragedy, Will, and has really turned it around. They'll be traveling around different cities, including Cincinnati and Pittsburgh, Hamlin's hometown. And each stop will include CPR training, the distribution of AEDs. So the fact that this is like kind of widespread now in terms of the types of supports AED can do to assist in athletic events, that's just kind of outstanding, especially, again, Will is the one that texted me that there was an incident. And I'm like, what? Coach goes to sleep kind of early. But that was really good to read about that, and I just wanted to share that. Any thoughts, Will, before we transition to our next segment?
I think it's great. I think they can do even the stuff I think that they're doing with Tua and the jiu-jitsu falling. I think they can do all that thing to spread it out to the knowledge of all the youth football. Because if the name of the game is safety, that's what they're trying to promote. So good for him. It is a business at the end of the day. So this is great for him and great promo for him. Obviously, bringing him back on the team is a great promo for them as well. Let's not forget that at the end of the day. But it's all for good. It will win-win for everybody. I love it.
All right. So when we get back in segment 2, brief little talk about the Commanders still being not done, and more on the running back position. We got somebody needs to be an agent for the running backs as a whole. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches podcast.
Why should student athletes use the CKA Save Project academic and athletic consulting services? Over the past 15 to 20 years, colleges, universities, professional sports teams, business organizations, and others have increased their use of consulting services to improve their decision-making processes and results. Over the same time, the athletic and academic landscape has changed for high school and college student athletes as the NCAA has raised initial academic eligibility requirements for student athletes while decreasing the number of transfer restrictions. Former college student athletes have noted that they were academic and athletically unprepared for the rigors of college. Let the CKA SAVE project's close to 30 years of academic and athletic experience help guide student athletes to increase success as we work to help student athletes achieve the goal of obtaining a college degree. For more information, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches Podcast. In segment 2, I first want to tell you that the Washington Commanders, the deal is still not done. Josh Harris, who reached an agreement to buy the Commanders last month, will meet with the NFL Finance Committee this week. It's another step forward to a possible vote. Harris has been working with the NFL to make the required adjustments to his offer. At the owners' meeting last month, Indianapolis Colts owner Jim Irsay, a fine, upstanding member of the community, I might add, sarcastically said, he's a member of the Finance Committee and said Harris needed to get into compliance with the NFL guidelines on the debt load. So a prospective owner must have a 30% equity stake in the team and can't take on more than $1.1 billion in debt. The Harris Group also has 20 limited partners, according to a source, and each one of those partners must be vetted for financial and security reasons. Harris did sign an exclusive agreement with Dan and Tanya Snyder to buy the Commanders for a record $6.05 billion, again, pending approval of the NFL owners. Last year, the Walton family reached an agreement to buy the Broncos for $4.6 billion, but they only had 3 limited partners, and the owners didn't approve it until August. So they went from June to August without it. So that's not uncommon. Multiple sources familiar with the process have expected the Harris deal to be completed because the owners want to get rid of Snyder and they want to be done with this. So Will, you followed this, the show's followed this. What are your thoughts on the slight delay and the 20 different people in the ownership group?
When people come to the dealership and they try to buy a car and then they're like, man, let's do it. I'm buying it. And then all of a sudden, the salesperson is working through back and forth and backflips and all kinds of stuff to get the financing and all the credit and all the everything. Well, you might have to put extra more down on this and let's do that and let's check your record. Like you said, Coach, they don't like Dan. If it wasn't Dan, this thing would have gotten blown up months ago. They said, this ain't no, get out of here. Let's do something else. I think because they want to move away from Dan, I think a lot of people, even Dan himself, is like, please, like, leave me alone. I'm done. I think they'll get it done. I think Harris is just being a little funny about the process and not taking it serious, but it'll get done. I'm sure by the season starts, everything will go. Have a new owner. They don't want that black eye, and they don't want that news. NFL doesn't want that news that they can't sell a $1 billion franchise that's doing nothing but
20 limited partners is
it's crazy.
It's a lot, man.
Yeah.
So you got to vet 20 different people. Yeah, that will take some time. All right. So we're going to move to the running back position. Dalvin Cook made the news this week, and that's what prompted me to go back to the running backs. Minnesota Vikings are in a position now to release Dalvin Cook without taking significant cap penalty hit. It has been reported that opposing teams believe the Vikings are still holding out for a trade, but there's no real market for that. Cook is still a productive player. He finished last season with over 1,400 yards, 10 touchdowns, but he had the worst efficiency of his NFL career. And he's 27. He averaged a career low 4.4 yards per carry and ranked 33 out of 42 in qualified running backs for success rate. The Vikings can release Cook at any point and save $9 million against the cap this season. He would count $8.2 million against the cap over the next 2 seasons. And if Cook isn't with the Vikings, Alexander Madison could be elevated to the number one running back. Hey, fantasy people, again, that name was Alexander Madison. They also have Ty Chandler and a 7th-round rookie. Dwayne McBride could also compete for carries. Will, we've got a problem running back position. First, let me know your thoughts on Dalvin Cook before I take it back to Zeke.
The running back position has always been an issue, especially with the 5-year contract. It doesn't make for them. It's not viable for them. If anything, they need to restructure it to a 3-year contract, rookie deal, for all players. I mean, look like Ed Oliver. I mean, at least then you can know, hey, 3 years, this kid is going to be somebody in the future, or he's going to be a problem, or maybe we should move on. But it becomes tiring. Every couple of years to have a running back who's like good enough, but he gets to the 5th year of his contract, and it's just the process it doesn't work. So it
is not player friendly.
It's not player friendly. It's almost better if a running back went in the 2nd round. But who's ever going to tell him that? Who's ever going to say like, oh, you take in the 2nd round and make more money up front? It's bad. But it's business. It's business at the end of the day. And if he's not producing, then the Vikings have to figure out a different way to either allocate money and get better, and get ready to pay for Justin Jefferson too. So
yes, which takes us to Zeke. So free agent running back Ezekiel Elliott, who spent 7 seasons with the Dallas Cowboys before being released, is still looking for a home. There is a chance that the door is not shut to come back to the Cowboys. And again, it reminds me of Mason Rudolph for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Going out there and see what's available. Mason looked around, saw that there wasn't much out there. I'll take the pay cut to stay home. Do you think, Will, that this is a situation that Zeke's going to end up back in Dallas? What do you think?
I think he never should have left. I think he's a guy that they love him. I think he knows the scheme. I think he blocks pretty well. He's part of their culture, and I think there was no reason to get rid of Tony Pollard yet. I mean, the guy can't really pass protect. He can't really do that stuff yet. But he is obviously younger and a little faster. I would love it. I love it, man. I would hate to see Zeke in a different jersey, especially at Philadelphia. I think they were talking about him earlier about bringing him in. Keep him in Dallas. Even if it's a lesser contract or smaller money, keep him there. That's what I think.
All right. So fans, when we get back, we're going to talk about returning from injury. We have a lot of guys coming back, and I want to get Cotton Man's thoughts on how does this work out with these guys and the NFL, which stands for Not for Long. We'll be right back on the Odd Coaches podcast.
The CKA SAVE Project is an industry leader in advocating for student-athlete, academic, and athletic needs. Through academic and athletic enrichment, the CKA SAVE Project is on the forefront of the issues facing 21st century student-athletes. As student-athletes continue to struggle to find a better balance between academic and athletic success, the CKA SAVE Project offers academic and athletic services to support student-athlete academic success, including academic skills assessment, academic and athletic consulting, academic monitoring, academic and athletic workshops. For more information or to schedule a free consultation, contact Dr. Keith Adams by email at cka@ckasaveproject.org.
Welcome back to the Odd Coaches podcast. In segment 3, we want to talk about returning from injuries, and there's several teams that have significant players coming back. Let's start with the Atlanta Falcons. Falcons coach Arthur Smith said last week that he anticipates everybody being ready for the season opener, and everybody would include Kyle Pitts, who is the tight end that is needed to do something because offensively they had some challenges. He's recovering from surgery to repair his MCL. As specifically about Pitts' recovery, Coach Smith said the team is going to be smart about the 3rd-year tight end. Hey, Will, he's in that 3rd year. So, hey, Kyle, take your time, buddy. It's no rush trying to get a check. Pitts has not been spotted at any of the OTAs. Smith declined to offer more information about Pitts' return. He had knee surgery after suffering the injury in November. And Atlanta has been very cautious. What do you think about Kyle Pitts, man? One, is he worth the money? Two, what do you just think about his overall skill and what kind of impact will he have on Atlanta?
Um, man, I mean, I'm a Florida fan, so I watched him when he was in college. Um, the kid was a beast. But the toughness, the other aspects of being a tight end, blocking, getting into the trenches, doing things like that make him really good. It's tough to say. It's tough to say. I mean, he's so athletic. I think they were kind of very cautious with the knee. I think they got, they were like, hey, we're not winning. Let's get you off the sideline. Let's maybe a little minor surgery, open it up. It wasn't like he, but it's tough. It's really tough to gauge him because he hasn't done enough and he hasn't really had a quarterback to really show him.
And they're going to double down on Desmond Ritter, so they're going to try to follow the Adams model and be cheap and see if this kid can play under a marginally decent contract.
Yeah.
So,
I'd let him go. I'd let him go. I'd say, maybe we can trade with him, maybe figure something out because I don't know if he's part of what that team does right now. They're more of a luxury. They're not really a guy you want to build a franchise with,
okay. All right. So Will, we're going to go back to Buffalo. Von Miller. Buffalo Bill pass rusher Von Miller says he expects to play in the season opener, which is approximately 10 and a half months after suffering an ACL injury in his right knee. Miller, who is 34, is aware that he wants to face Aaron Rodgers. But again, after signing a 6-year, $120 million deal with Buffalo, he recorded 8 sacks, 21 tackles, forcing fumbles in 11 games before he suffered an injury on Thanksgiving Day against the Lions. He's an 8-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro, but he's 34, coming off ACL surgery. That Buffalo pick is really starting to look like the under. What do you think about Von Miller's return to Buffalo, Will?
I mean, I don't think it'll do too much. I mean, this will be the first year he'll have to come back just to get acclimated to the game and the speed and the physicality of it. So it usually takes him at least 8 to 10 games just to kind of get settle in his position, his feeling, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know. And then also he's never really been hurt like that. He's never had, it's hard to come back when you've never been hurt before and in your 30s. And I'm in that age right now. It's like, it's different. It's waking up and it's like, oh man, like, my leg or my back, I think he'll have a decent, I think he'll have a decent year. I think he's going to be more so a locker room leader that's going to kind of rally everybody and beat the maturity because, one, he's a champion, and two, he has he's a veteran, so he can actually have the voice because, that's what's also needed to get through the playoffs. But I don't think he's going to give like a spectacular, statistical kind of year. It's going to be just more of like his morale and leadership, in my opinion.
Father Time is undefeated and untied, my friend.
Can't be beat.
All right, Las Vegas. The Las Vegas Raiders coach Josh McDaniels said last week that he is not, I repeat, he is not concerned about reports and rumors about Jimmy Garoppolo might not being able to play next season. He said, I have no anxiety. So let me remind you fans, Garoppolo joined the Raiders on a 3-year, $72 million contract in March, and he also signed a waiver release in place of a physical because of his injured left foot suffered in December. He underwent surgery, and after signing with the Raiders, he has not been able to practice. His $11.25 million signing bonus was also converted into base salary. Will, are you nervous about Jimmy Garoppolo playing this season?
Yeah, I was even nervous when he was healthy. so now there's things like that. It's like, yo, this is crazy. I mean, and he's not like a physical marvel. So, I mean, it could work. He's not a guy who's going to throw it, 100 yards down the field. But, I mean, still, he's a little older. He's making his money. How much does he want to keep playing? That's another thing. It's like, your foot still injured. How much information, how much effort are you going to put into this? Because we need a lot. So I have a conspiracy that he's not going to play, but Tom Brady is going to do a Michael Jordan and drop down and hit quarterback.
No. Let's not even go into that neighborhood.
Building
Can't
up
wait
that
to talk to
story.
Chris Schreier. Can't wait to talk to Chris about this. I'm sure he has some comments, but yeah, this ought to be interesting. I have no idea who their backup quarterback is. And
The kid, he was the kid who was playing when they benched Derek Carr.
well,
I think he won. He won. I forgot. He played a very good game at the end of the season. Very exciting.
it all
They
sounds
loved
like the under to me, Will.
He
It
wasn't
all
good. He
sounds
wasn't
like
good.
the-
Yeah, it's the under. It's the
It
under.
sounds like the season total under to me. Again, fans, strictly for entertainment purposes only. And please don't bet in NFL locker rooms. All right, finally, we're going to talk about Dallas. Sorry, Mike, you're not here. By the time the Dallas Cowboys get to training camp in late July, Pro Bowl running back Tony Pollard said he will be fully ready to practice from the left ankle injury he suffered in the January playoff loss to San Francisco. Pollard said he actually feels ready now. Pollard's taking first team snaps. When Dallas holds their mandatory mini camp, he's expected to be on the same rehab plan. 2 days after the playoff loss, Pollard went under a procedure called a tightrope procedure, which I heard about, instead of surgery, which required screws into the tibia and fibula for repair. None of that sounds like a quick rehab. Tua went under that same surgery at Alabama, and Tennessee Titans quarterback Ryan Tannehill also had the procedure. Pollard said there's no concerns about the injury impacting his ability. Pollard was named a Pro Bowl after rushing for a career high 1,007 yards last year. Before last season, though, Will, he never had more than 130 carries or more than 700 yards in the season. Will, as we close, these guys returning from injury, maybe Zeke does go back to Dallas because none of that sounded good. What do you think, my friend?
And, everybody feels good in shorts. Everybody feel good in the penny and just some helmets. You know what I'm saying? It's when you're jogging, and getting knocking down some cones. But the real test is when people start hitting them, in the legs and in the legs. And it's not just like that first hit. It's also the attrition, the season of getting the same hit. And he's not a big guy, so guys are gonna have to go low on him. So it's gonna be, helmet, shoulder pad, right in the thigh, right in the calf, right in the knee, so it's going to get tested. And, everything sounds good now because, everybody's nice and healthy in summer, but I think
nobody's touching.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody's trying to hit.
He got the red one on. He got the red one on. Oh, don't touch him. Don't touch him. So, and they got remember they had the big helmet on for,
yeah.
They got everything for him. So, I hope he's healthy. I hope everything everything he's telling me. He's feeling good. He wants to go. He is young, so that's on his side a little bit. He got a little pop to him. He can let's go, let's do it. But let's just hope that it's truly healthy and it's going to get tested. So
I guess it is. All right. So fans, on behalf of my captain for life and my tag team partner, I'm Dr. Keith Adams saying thank you for listening and/or watching the Odd Coaches podcast. We will see you on the sidelines. Till next time, take care.
The Odd Coaches podcast is sponsored by the CKA Save Project. The CKA Save Project is an industry leader in providing student-athlete academic and athletic support. From assessing student-athletes' academic and athletic skills to measuring and monitoring student-athlete academic progress to improving student-athlete time management and organizational skills, the CKA Save Project provides wraparound services for student-athletes from middle school through college. For more information, visit us on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org or schedule a free consultation with Dr. Keith Adams by emailing cka@ckasaveproject.org. We hope you enjoyed today's show. The Odd Coaches podcast drops new episodes every Tuesday through Friday on most weeks. Make sure you subscribe to the Odd Coaches podcast on Apple Music, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, and YouTube. Follow the Odd Coaches podcast on Twitter and Instagram at Odd Coaches. Follow Dr. Adams on Twitter and Instagram at CKA Save Project. In addition, follow Coach Mike Francis on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Franchise, spelled Coach Franchize. For more information about the CKA Save Project, please visit them on the web at www.ckasaveproject.org. See you next time on the Odd Coaches Podcast.